From Wall Street to Main Street, this is LALATE.
It's a big night here on from Studio 1A here in Santa Monica, California. Breaking news is the President of the United States actually departed from Santa Monica, California minutes ago and addressed some of the major issues at hand that we've been covering in tonight's recording. Unemployment surge is out of control. What's being done on it? The latest on that front. But as inflation now is topping an 8.5% year-to-date number, the White House has a response. What did the president say minutes ago in leaving Santa Monica, California? Gas prices tonight are at the highest levels we've seen of a generation, heading potentially to $10 a gallon. Tonight, $5. What did the president say in leaving Santa Monica? I have his comments from tonight. Then, when we talk about the situation unfolding, you need to get a stimulus check because the situation is that a recession's coming. The housing market crash is underway. And the stock market crash is just getting started. But the great news is that there's a forced stimulus check in every U.S. state. Later in this recording, we're going to go over that incredible check that I found for you. You need to get it. Step 1, become a member. Step 2, to get a credible newsletter. And step 3, stay to the second half of this recording, in which we'll be going over those forced stimulus checks in every U.S. state. Why do you need to get that forced stimulus check? Tonight, we have new analysis you've never seen before in the history of this channel. First, in the next 90 days, you're going to see unemployment go higher, gas prices, interest rates, mortgage rates, recessionary winds, and also price of goods. You're also going to see in the next 90 days the following situations as well. Consumer confidence dropping, spending dropping, household income dropping, and then do not depend on gas going lower. That's not going to happen. Inflation is not going to go lower. In fact, fast action from the White House not happening as well. That's why you got to get that forced stimulus check into every U.S. state. Step 1, become a member. Step 2, get that incredible newsletter. And over this 1-hour special broadcast from the shores of Santa Monica, California, we're going to go over a lot of big money. From Studio 1A in Santa Monica, California, tonight we have a major recording. And the great news is that there's a check later in this recording, lots of them for you. But the bad news is that the consumer confidence, the inflation, the gas prices all going up, and they're not done going higher. We'll have all the analysis tonight from the shores of Santa Monica, California. It's America's most watched show for financial news in prime time. And the details of the breaking news, everything you need to know, starts right now as Evenings LALATE gets underway from Santa Monica, California for June 11th, 2022, starting right here, right now on Evenings. And the news starts now. For June 11th, 2022, good evening. And from Santa Monica, California, well, here we go. Tonight, the President of the United States jetted out of Santa Monica, California, heading to New Mexico. But he addressed a lot of the concerns and questions you've been asking about. And those questions and answers are coming up in tonight's recording. We'll be addressing the surging prices of gasoline happening tonight and what the White House said about that in his new comments. We'll be going over what's going on with that inflation, as the president addressed that as well. Unemployment surging, and the concerns about where these relief will come from. A storm is out to sea, and that's what I've been saying on this channel for several months. How fast is that storm going to come on land? I'll have the latest details. The housing market slump, the auto market slump, and then what's going to go on thereafter. A lot of details tonight. And for the shores of Santa Monica, California, I'm glad you're here. We have a lot of major developing details to go over. And it starts with the president's comments tonight from Santa Monica, California. The President of the United States, minutes ago, before this broadcast, jetted out right from Santa Monica, California, before I came into here in Studio 1A at Santa Monica for LALATE. And his comments were all about inflation, gasoline, your economy, and more. What he basically said is the White House does not have a singular plan lined up, but that there is a problem. Wow. That's why you got to get that forced stimulus check in every U.S. state, because there is no inherent solution set up from the White House, according to the president's own comments. Step 1, become a member. Step 2, get the incredible newsletter. And stay with me over the second half of this recording. We're going to go over all those incredible checks. The incredible checks of the fourth stimulus package that are in every U.S. state tonight are there because Joe Biden put them there by executive action. And you need to get them because the economic situation of this economy is getting worse by the minute. Step one is that the stock market crashes upon us. Step two is that the housing market crashes upon us. And step three is that the recession is right around the corner. You can't wait to get any of these checks by the minute or by the hour. We start tonight with the breaking news of that consumer price index number released on Friday, and it was horrific. It supports doing the Build Back Better Act, and it also supports the reason of why you can't wait to get a check at issue. Let's start with that breaking news story tonight that we're watching vigorously and also watching the president's comments. The inflationary number expected for Wall Street's CPI on Friday was supposed to come in about 8.3%. That would have signaled that inflation has really settled down and not gone any higher. It didn't. It went much higher. It came in at 8.5% on Friday. The Consumer Price Index, which gauges your spending, which gauges consumer activity, the CPI released on Friday, was a beat, and you don't want it to be a beat, meaning it was much higher, and it means that inflation went up higher than even expected, 8.5% year to date. This was horrible news. In fact, this is as bad news that we see on this channel for several months. How much implosion did this single economic announcement on Friday cause? Number one, it caused the implosion in consumer confidence. And consumer confidence reported after the CPI came out on Friday was the lowest number we've seen since the start of the pandemic. Consumers now believe that this economy right now is actually worse than the lockdown of 2020. Consumer confidence surged out of control on Friday when that CPI number came in. Let's go over the data points first. The CPI was supposed to come in closer to an 8.3 or even lower. That would have been reassuring, but instead it came in at 8.5%. Broadened across the board because of rising goods prices that you're paying and higher gasoline at the pump. The immediate impact was the drop of consumer sentiment. Now, you know what the U.S. consumer sentiment to drop because if consumers are not happy with the economy, they won't spend. They won't produce the products as well if they're producers or they're small business owners. It just reinforced the impact that the CPI number had on consumer psyche, said a comment by Peter Brukovar of the Bleaky Advisor Group after the news was released on Friday. We can guess that this is going to have a negative future impact on consumer spending. The negative future impact is being felt tonight. It's not going to be out in the future. It's happening tonight. It's a shocking number, says Bukovar further, that this is what inflation does when it's running as hot as it is. The immediate reaction to this news was dramatic as the 2-year Treasury note surged dramatically on Friday to 3% to its highest levels ever reported on this channel. In fact, the highest levels we've seen on that Treasury yield since 2008. That means that if you have student loan debt, car payments, credit card debt, anything that's a flexible interest rate, it's surging out of control tonight. And it's all because of this consumer price number that came in at 8.5% year to date. This is a May read, and this is horrible, horrible news. Now, when using that analysis, what do we learn from that analysis? Immediately, the stock market crashed. The stock market was down 880 points on Friday upon this horrible CPI read. That was astronomical, down 3% overall. Apple shares down 4%, Microsoft down 5%, Dow Inc. down 6%, and a lot of companies down nearly 7 to 8%. Banking stocks were down 6%. The only winners of this entire industry were the oil stocks. The oil stocks were up as well. Minutes ago, the President of the United States was on the tarmac here in Santa Monica, California, about to take the chopper back to LAX to fly out of LAX to New Mexico. And he answered a series of questions. He answered about inflation. He answered about oil. He answered about gun control and other issues. Let's go over his comments, starting with inflation right now. When asked about the inflationary read, he admitted it was a problem. Did he have a solution? He did not have a solution. He blamed the problem of inflation on Vladimir Putin, but when asked what his solution is, he didn't say it. Now, this is where it gets interesting because this is what happened 2 days ago. This is what happened 2 days ago when Joe Biden blamed these inflationary numbers upon gasoline. Now, he's correct. Inflation's higher because Gasoline is part of the calculation for why inflation's higher. But the reason why it's happening was not exactly correct. Moreover, the solution wasn't there either. All this important data is significant because this supports doing the Build Back Better Act. But tonight I have new data for you across the board, and I also have new analysis that I want to show you. First, I want to explain to you why the CPI number is so dramatic. First, it basically signals that in the next 90 days, you have to understand the following. In the next 90 days, you have to understand that there will not be a drop in any of these items. In fact, in the next 90 days, these three items are going to go higher. Unemployment will go higher, gas prices will go higher, and interest rates will go higher. That's in the next 90 days. Also in the next 90 days, recessionary winds will pick up, price of goods will go up, and mortgage rates will go higher. Not happening in the 90 days is the following. These are actually going to go lower. Consumer confidence is going to drop in the next 90 days. Consumer spending is going to drop in the next 90 days. And discretionary income will drop as well. Do not depend on gas to go lower. Do not expect inflation to go lower. And do not expect fast action from Congress. That is why it's important to get that fourth stimulus check late in this recording. And that is why it's important to say the second half of this video. That is why it's important to become a member. It's coming up later in tonight's recording. We're not done there yet. We're just starting with the breaking news, and there's a lot of it. Not only the president's comments, but also the economic data that came in view of the president's comments. It's big, and it's all happening tonight. What else is at issue? The unemployment numbers continue to surge out of control. Unemployment in the United States is growing dramatically. 200,000 new jobless claims were released in data on Thursday, and those 200,000 new jobless claims are not good. It basically signals that people are being laid off by employers who are losing their businesses. And being laid off, what are they doing? They have no FPUC, PUA, or PUI, or UI like we saw in 2020. Doesn't exist anymore. Number of continuing unemployment claims are 3.1 million. Number of new unemployment claims are 200,000 per week. This is out of control. And as unemployment continues to surge, it's not going to go down. Unemployment is one of the most important indicators when discussing whether there's stimulus or not. And the scope of the stimulus is certainly an issue because you would hope that there's unemployment stimulus in the stimulus package. Let's be clear tonight that the Build Back Better Act, which is currently in the Senate and is likely to get passed, has no unemployment stimulus in there. There's nothing in the Build Back Better Act to give you assistance if you're unemployed, other than the general provisions, which are for home repairs, or for children, or for auto, or seniors. There's nothing on point for FPUC or PUI or PUC in the Build Back Better Act. So that's why it's important to get that fourth stimulus check in every U.S. state. Americans are very worried about the surging unemployment numbers because Wall Street was feeding this false narrative for week on week that people had job security. You and I said it's not happening, that people are losing their jobs. If you're in the live chat right now, say less or more. If you see less or more people in the stores working as employees, especially in those big box retailers. That's the first major breaking detail today, the second major breaking detail tonight. But the third one is this one, gasoline. Gasoline prices are surging out of control tonight, and for the first time ever in the history of this channel, I'm reporting gasoline prices at over $5 a gallon at the pump. The AAA national average tonight is surging to the highest levels ever reported in the history of this channel, over $5 a gallon. According to AAA, it's surged from $3 last year to $5 tonight. And by the weekend, it could be even higher than $5 in at least 30-something states. In Los Angeles, you can't pay for $5 a gallon. You're likely paying $7 to $8. The situation is far from over because tonight I'm reporting that the gas prices could potentially go to $10 a gallon. $10 a gallon for international Brent crude, that translates into about a 185 read. Yes, some Wall Street analysts are now expecting that the price of Brent crude could surge to 185 from where it is tonight, 123. The White House addressed the situation before his visit to Santa Monica today, during his leave from Santa Monica today, and also back in the White House with Janet Yellen. Let me read all those comments starting right now. First, minutes ago, the President of the United States was asked, what are you doing with the rising price of gasoline? His response is, we have a problem. Good. Did he give a solution? No. He did not give a solution in the question at the Santa Monica airport. He basically acknowledged the problem, but did not give a solution. He blamed it on Vladimir Putin. Then, he was specifically asked a question that I said on Afternoons LA 3 hours ago. I want this question asked. It's as though the news reporter was watching this channel at 3 o'clock today. I said, someone needs to ask the president point blank, are you going to Saudi Arabia to do a deal on oil? They finally asked him the question about 30 minutes ago. And he said no. He said point blank, he is not. He says the trip to Saudi Arabia is about national security. Now, he did not rule out that it would not be for oil as well, but he said as of the moment, it's not for gasoline. This is big because I have an update or a correction to something I said on Afternoons LA tonight. I said on Afternoons today that the president in Santa Monica or Los Angeles this week had that meeting of the Americas, and then I said Venezuela was not one of the key issues. I forgot. I made a mistake. Venezuela was actually excluded from the festivities here in Los Angeles by the president this week. Horrible. Venezuela is the number one gasoline producer. That is an option for the White House to pursue. We only have Venezuela, Brazil, OPEC Plus, Saudi Arabia, Iran as our options. We really only have 5 countries. We cannot produce enough gasoline to replace the missing 3.5 million barrels a day that are now out of circulation because of Vladimir Putin and the reduced production at OPEC Plus. We've excluded Venezuela from the festivities of this week here in Los Angeles, so the message was very clear. We're never going to do a deal with you. We've not solidified the situation with Iran. We walked away from it. OPEC Plus did that and major announcement last Thursday, said, we're going to increase production progressively. Good news for us, not enough. And the White House poo-pooed the comments. And then finally, our last option, Saudi Arabia. And to which the president, minutes ago on the tarmac in Santa Monica, said, we're not going to Saudi Arabia for oil. So where is the oil coming from? Here's the takeaway tonight on Evenings LA. There's 3.5 million barrels of gasoline missing in the United States and for the Western Allies. And unless someone gets those gasoline items replaced, we're going higher. And replace needs to come from one of those 5 countries. It does not come from the Keystone Pipeline. It does not come from Texas. That's not enough gasoline. It's hundreds of thousands of barrels. We need millions of barrels a day. And the situation is getting even more entangled. Let me tell you why this is shocking tonight. The shocking comments are that the president is being thrown under the bus by his own economic advisors on this one. Okay, folks, here we go. Back in October, we know that Joseph Biden dispatched to Janet Yellen, his Treasury Secretary, a request that with 100,000 Russian troops at the Ukraine border, please do for me, Secretary Yellen, an analysis of whether we need to have a contingency ready for oil. That was Halloween of last year. Well, the horror tonight is that still to this day, the White House has not gotten contingency ready for replacement of oil. They knew it was a problem back in October. What's equally troubling tonight is that now Janet Yellen is throwing the president under the bus. Where is she throwing him on the bus? The president of the United States, before the Santa Monica departure tonight, earlier this week in Los Angeles, said, when asked the question, where are you getting oil from, he blamed again Exxon. When asked, where's your solution? What's the solution? What's the solution? He said the following, go talk to the leaders of Exxon and ask them why they're making so much money. Responsive, unresponsive. Let's go over his comments when he said that, and it was just shocking. He said, go and ask Exxon why they're making so much money, and why don't you tell Exxon why their profits were so big this quarter? Exxon makes more money than God this year. That was an actual direct quote from the president of the United States. Responsive to where the solution is? No, it's not a solution. It's again casting blame. But here's where it's shocking tonight. Janet Yellen saying there is not the place to cast blame. She says there is no example, there is no evidence of price gouging by Exxon or Mobil, which the president keeps on saying. Sound very similar? It sounds very similar. Where a president wants to call a scapegoat but doesn't give a solution. The president is using Exxon and Mobil and the U.S. automatic and the U.S. oil companies and refineries as a scapegoat, but not giving answers for the solution. And now Janet Yellen thrown under the bus, saying that's not the cause of the problem. Equally troubling is who is behind the solution. Tonight, I have no indication of who is really behind the solution. Janet Yellen is not behind the solution. Her team has been asked by Broadcast News, have you found the solution with the rest remain barrels of gasoline? Not. Is the president at the highest levels? No. Is Brian Deasy? Well, this is where it gets interesting. Brian Deasy, president's chief economic advisor, who I believe is the root of all the problems, has been reportedly meeting with executives at Exxon Chevron all this week, per the company's requests. The companies say they want to ramp up production. Deasy met with them, but the White House refused to admit that the meeting ever occurred, refused to give details of the meeting, and refused to give guidance response to Exxon or Mobil's comments, which were basically the following. According to ExxonMobil spokesperson Casey Norton, we've been in regular contact with the administration informing them of our planned investment to increase production and expand refinery capacity. Let's be frank here, folks. Tonight, you're going to see the price of gasoline go higher. Tonight, the solution does not exist in anything that we can do in the United States. Tonight, the only solution is with those other countries we can get gasoline from. Venezuela, we've now isolated once again this week. OPEC Plus, we isolated last week. And now the president's going to Saudi Arabia, and he's saying, I'm not going there for an oil deal. Where is the solution for oil? We really don't know. This is why tonight I want to show you why the situation is so troubling and how it's going to get worse by the minute. The data points tonight are not just unemployment, are not just surging gas prices, but it's also that storm out to sea. Ella has been detailing over the last few weeks why there's a storm out to sea. Back in the month of February, I said, there's a storm out to sea and it's coming on land. I described the storm out to sea a recession. Jamie Dimon describes it as an economic downturn. His comments are, there's a hurricane down the road. My comments are, there's a storm out to sea. The only difference were my comments were 3 months earlier. Bear market, yes. Tonight we're in a bear market. Housing market crash, absolutely. Stock market crash, absolutely. And we're just getting started. The housing sales are down 17% year to date. On Thursday, the mortgage numbers were released, and they were the worst requests for mortgage, let's say it this way, the least requests for mortgage applications in 22 years. Auto sales are dramatically down 24% year to date because no one is buying gasoline-powered cars for obvious reasons, and because they can't afford them, and because the profit level that the manufacturers are trying to embed in the car is $5,000 a car compared to just $3,000 weeks earlier. Forced stimulus check. A forced stimulus check is in every U.S. state, and that is why you got to get it. Because the situation tonight is getting worse by the moment. Let's go over all the data points at issue, and this is all brand news tonight. First, in the next 90 days, expect unemployment to be much higher, I'm now predicting. In the next 90 days, expect gasoline to go dramatically higher. For unemployment, expecting unemployment claims to surge from its current levels of 200,000 weekly new claims, announced every Thursday, to approximately 220. Then, gasoline prices, currently at $5 a gallon at the pump, I expect in the next 90 days to go to somewhere around a $6 nationwide average, but I think that in some states you could see it clearly heading to $8. It's $7 in much of California tonight. Interest rates will go dramatically higher as well in the next 90 days. How much higher? Well, when you look at the yields and their movements on Friday based solely upon the CPI numbers, they're shocking. The 2-year Treasury yield jumped 3% on Friday to hit its highest levels since 2008, just based upon that CPI number. Interest rates higher are being driven by the following elements. They are Jay Powell. Jay Powell is to announce more interest rate spikes, and those additional interest rate spikes will and continue to drive your inflationary pressures the same way, not better, not worse, just about the same way, and continue to raise interest rates left and right. What do you need to know? If you have anything flexible at home, whether it is a flexible mortgage rate, credit card debt, a car loan, get rid of it right away, because in the next 90 days, those interest rates are going to go even higher. That is why you got to get away from it right away. Next 90 days, unemployment, gas, and interest rates higher. Also the next 90 days. Price of goods will go higher, my predictions. Recessionary winds will pick up, and the mortgage rates will be higher as well. What should you expect in the next 90 days to go the reverse? Consumer confidence will drop even worse. Consumer spending will drop less. And consumer income will drop dramatically. Meantime, do not expect the following events to happen. Do not expect gasoline to drop dramatically or to go lower. Do not expect inflation to go lower. And do not expect fast action from Congress. Congress has basically shown us over the last few months that when we talk about a forced stimulus check, they're not moving faster. They're not moving that fast at all. Stock market crashes upon us. Housing market crashes upon us. Recessionary environment is just out to sea. And have they moved really fast? No. That is why you have to get that forced stimulus check in every U.S. state. You can't wait, because with all these elements at issue, you need to get that forced stimulus check in every U.S. state. It's coming up in the second half of this video. Become a member, get that incredible newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and get that LATE alert to get those incredible checks. In the second half of this video, we're going to go over those checks and understand why the housing market crashed, the auto industry crashed, the storm out to sea, and the other problems and issues like gas and heating oil surging out of control are just the tip of the iceberg. Tonight, what you need to know is that there's stimulus. I found it for you. There's a lot of it, and you qualify for it. Thank goodness. And I'm going to get it for you in the second half of this video. Stimulus checks are now available in every U.S. state for you. If you're single, if you're married, with children, without children, on benefits, SSI, SSDI or not. Rent, own, big stimulus checks. Up to $80,000. You need that financial independence. You need that financial independence right now. You need to get every check and get you all of them, not just one of them, all of them, because in the next 90 days, this U.S. economy is going to be a lot worse. We have confirmation tonight of those several items happening. But thereafter, as we go into January 2023, we don't have confirmation if the real implosion of this economy will happen as I predicted. Either way, you gotta get every stimulus check that's available in every U.S. state. The Build Back Better Act is currently in the Senate, and that will give you additional checks. But tonight, my messaging to you for Build Back Better Act is twofold. One, Build Back Better Act, in my opinion, will pass. One. Number two, it's really good. Number three, has $15,000 to $80,000 of checks. Great. But you cannot wait for it. I'm going to make this very clear to you. You cannot wait for it. Why? That 90-day time horizon. I don't know everything about you. There's a lot of you. You have all different walks of life. You're all different parts of the United States territories. You live in different states with different economies and have different backgrounds. But I know where this economy is going to be in 90 days from now. And this economy in 90 days from now is not going to be good. It's going to be much more severe than it is right now. Let's explain something to you. I'm saying that it's going to be in a certain state in 90 days from now, but now tonight, the latest change is that the average U.S. consumer believes this economy is actually there already. What's happening tonight? Consumer confidence fell so dramatically based upon that CPI read on Friday that the average consumer now believes that we're already in a recession. The average consumer believes that this is the tsunami, that this is the storm out to sea, as I say, or the hurricane down the road, as Jamie Dimon says. And they believe that this is the full extent of how bad it's going to be. No, it's not. I got to tell you that to you. Because gasoline is not going lower in the next 90 days. Inflation is not going lower, and there's not going to be fast action. In fact, in the next 90 days, you're going to see all the things go the other direction. Mortgage rates, recession, price of goods are going to go higher, gas, interest rates, unemployment. For any U.S. consumer who believes this is as bad as it's going to get, you have no idea. The next 90 days is going to be far more dramatic, and then after that, we go into the next year. It's a change of focus, as Wall Street was feeding, in some cases, false narrative for months. For months, some analysts were saying that the housing market is the only part of the economy that's not doing well. Untrue. The housing market is doing really quite poorly and will be the worst part of this economy, as the housing sales are down dramatically and there's no pivoting. Pivoting is one of the key issues I'll be addressing tonight in this recording. You gotta pivot. When things change, you gotta make a change of your behavior as well, whether you're a consumer or a seller. And the housing market is an example of an industry that did not pivot. The builders understood that their supply chain costs were going up. The building costs are going up. Their sub-labor contracts are going up. So what do? They stuck it to you. Or they attempted to, raising the price of the homes. Did it work? It did not work. You looked at the price, and you didn't even show up for the open house. And that's before the mortgage rates were out of control. Now the home sellers have to drop the price of the homes, and the homes will not sell. And guess who's going to lose their shirts? The people going to lose their shirts are the home builders who did not pivot and drop the price point. And the other people going to lose their shirts are the people who are home buyers who bought in the last year thinking it's a safe investment, and now they can't get out of the safe investment. The next group of people who are going to lose their shirt in the next 90 days are the people who watch YouTube channels or watch millennials who said, buy the dip. Buy the dip. It's just a dip. It's just going down for a few days. It ain't going down for a few days. We're in a bear market. This is the stock market crash of 2022. Anyone with a brain knows that a bear market is not down 26% if you're in a recession. In a recession, the stock market doesn't go down 26%. That's where we already are. It goes down 48%. And that's why anyone who bought stocks in the last year, or the last 6 months, or the last 6 weeks, they're about to lose their shirt. Because the housing market crash is not the only crash that's happening. The stock market crash is already happening. And it's just starting. That's why you got to get that forced stimulus check in every U.S. state. That's why you have to stay with me for the second half of this video. What also is that issue? That issue is that whatever it costs you to live right now is going to be far worse than 90 days from now. You're spending a lot of money, whether you're a retiree or whether you're employed, to buy those goods. Well, guess what? You're not going to buy them. Consumer confidence is dropping and spending will drop and your income's going to drop. You're not going to have more money. You're going to have less money. Or the money you have is going to be less of a value because the goods are so much higher. That's why you got to get those stimulus checks. In the second half of this video, we'll be going over these great forced stimulus checks. I found them. You're not going to see them anywhere else. You're not going to see them in another recording. You're not going to see them on another financial news channel. Step 1, subscribe. Subscribe because you're watching currently the number 3 most watched financial news channel in America. It's LALATE. And later in this recording, you're going to have a preview of something happening in 90 days from now. Yes, you are. Step 1, become a member. Step 2, get that incredible newsletter Monday through Friday. And step 3, get those incredible checks in every U.S. state. You need to get them because the downward spiral of this U.S. economy is just getting started. And imagine how worse it's going to be in 90 days. Well, we'll be going over that analysis later in this video. Plus, we'll be looking at the situation for student loan debt forgiveness and the latest details on the gasoline shortage and the surging prices. Plus, I'll be tucking back with what the White House said at that tarmac in Santa Monica minutes ago. More comments and more analysis. But first, if you need assistance and you're a member, here's a little bit about the members community page. I'll be back with you in 60 seconds as America's most locked show in prime time continues. For financial news, it's evenings.
If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. They're Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals. Reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE.
And the details continue right now. For June 11, 2022, from the shores of Santa Monica, California, good evening. From Studio 1A in Santa Monica, California, this is LALATE, and this is Evenings LALATE. In the big second half, we're going to go over those incredible forced stimulus checks in every U.S. state. You need them. The downward spiral of this U.S. economy is very pronounced, and the next 90 days is going to be worse, and by next year, it's going to be more significant. Tonight, we have new insight about why it's important to get those checks, and also we have new insight about the checks. And we're going to go over all those incredible details starting right now. Based upon that CPI read, that announcement of that consumer price index number of 8.5% on Friday, it's very unlikely that if anything changes otherwise, that the Democrats will be winning control of the Congress in the midterm elections. Based upon that CPI read that was so horrific that there's no real inherent other change of the Democrats that are not going to retain control of the House or the Senate in the midterm elections. That means that come January 2023, when a recession's hitting this U.S. economy and you are really struggling financially in a way that is far more severe than the pandemic of 2020's lockdown, there may not be a stimulus package. There may not be a stimulus package. There's no way to know if Mitch McConnell and his gang will give you any type of stimulus or the right type of stimulus for a recession of 2023 when they are likely to regain control of the Congress based upon out of control inflation and gas in the midterm elections. That is why you got to get these checks I have for you tonight. They're a lot of money, and they're not a few dollars. I specifically, in choosing these checks, found checks that you qualify for and have big dollar values. Back in March, the viewers of this channel were very important, very key, very smart. They said, LA, they're not doing the Build Back Better Act yet in March. Can you get us some other checks? And I looked high and low, and I found them. There are different ways that stimulus can come to you. From the president, from states, or from Congress. These are from the president, and these are from the states. And they're huge. They're upwards of $80,000. Single individuals, $75,000 less, annual income, go get it. Married couple, $150,000 or less, annual income, go get it. If you're on benefits, SSI, SSDI, veterans benefits, RB, go get it. If you rent, if you own, if you have children, if you don't have children, if you are young, if you're old, go get it. Let's get them right now. I have labeled them a lettering system for purposes of the recording, just to make it simple for you. Check A, check B, and thereafter. So that is how we letter them on this channel. They're not referred to anywhere else as check A or B. It's just the way I keep it simple for you and I to follow along. And with that, let's go over each of these incredible checks one at a time because you deserve them. They're huge, they're big, and we'll start with the first one. $6,500 to $12,000 forced stimulus check in every U.S. state. Single individual, $75,000 or less, go get it. Married couple, $150,000 or less, go get it. It's called the Homeowners Weatherizing Grant Check. And yes, if you're on benefits like SSI or SSDI, go get it. A $12,000 check. Imagine how long that would be able to pay your bills for. A few weeks, a few months? Yeah, definitely need it. That's why you got to get that forced stimulus check in every U.S. state. How do you get this check A? How do you get this check A? Step one, subscribe. Go under this video right now, hit that subscribe button. You want to miss a video? You don't want to miss any updates about a new check. You don't want to miss any updates about oil, wheat, or grain, or gasoline, or inflation, or unemployment. Subscribe right tonight to the number 3 most watched show for financial news in America, LALATE. Step 2, become a member. Get that incredible newsletter Monday through Friday, written by me personally, and delivered to you 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Monday through Friday, via the YouTube alerts. Then, when you get that incredible newsletter, go down in that membership newsletter to find Check A. In that membership newsletter at Check A, you click the link and you go right in and apply. The membership newsletter written for me, by me, for you, first sends you into the nationwide website. Then you choose your state. Then you choose the Weatherizing Grant application and you go in apply. It's so simple. As longtime viewer Carol says, you make it so simple for viewers. And as Kat, another longtime viewer, says, Ella, you are so focused on eligibility, you make sure that everyone qualifies for the money. And as Nisi says, Ella, you do it so simply, and you really care to help people. When you look at Check B, it's even more wonderful. Right after you do Check A, you're going to go do Check B. Go get it. $15,000 to $80,000. Look at that money. Think for a second how long you can survive on $80,000 as a stimulus check. A year? 2 years, 6 months, it's a lot of money. That's why I try to get you big checks. I'm not here for small checks. I'm here to get you financial independence because I care that you are financially independent as this economy gets worse in the next 90 days and the next year. It's a forced stimulus check in every U.S. state. It's called the Homeowners Grant Check. Single individual, $75,000 less, go get it. Married couple, $150,000 less, go get it. If you're on benefits, go get it. How do you get it? Go down in the membership newsletter till you find Check B. Click the link, and there you go. Step 1, become a member. Step 2, open the membership newsletter, and go down to Check B and apply. But you're not done there yet. No, are you not? You're then going to go get Check C. go down the membership newsletter and learn about how to get Check C. It involves phone calls. You don't apply online for Check C, you make phone calls, about 15 of them. It's a monthly stimulus check on average. $2,000 a month over 12 months, it's huge. Many viewers averaging upwards of $45,000. It's a third stimulus check money, but it's still out there. And viewers have averaged about $45,000 from this channel. To date, a lot of viewers have gotten over $100,000. Where did this money come from, and how have viewers been doing with this money? Viewers have been getting this money since December 2020. You heard me right. Nearly 2 years. It was originally just leftover money from first stimulus. And I showed viewers how to get this money for rent, utilities, mortgages, and more. Then when it became law in spring of 2021, under the third stimulus package, viewers were very lucky. One, because they had learned how to do this. Two, they had the skill set to now get it because they've been trained by me the months before. Number three, they had a lot more money to now get from that incredible third stimulus. And these are the success stories. Imagine $20,000 to $30,000 for rent. Would you like that paid? I bet you would. Imagine getting $15,000 over utilities paid. That's what happened with Mark's brother-in-law from watching this channel. What about the SNAP? Viewers are getting massive sums of money for SNAP on this channel. $25,000 a year over 10 years. That's what Mark's brother-in-law is getting. Yes, that's $250,000. Then combos. Would you like a combination of these different stimulus items at the same time? Of course you do. You don't want to just get check A. You want to get lots of different checks, A, B, and C. And that's what these viewers have been doing. They've been getting different items as well. Nisi was at $23,000, but she went back and get more money. That's one of the things I teach. Don't stop with one check, get another check. And don't pass up a check because every check adds up. Nisi's getting about $8,000 every few weeks. She was at $23,000, then she went to $30,000, then to $40,000, then to $50,000. Mark is at $32,000. Then he went to $100,000. Then he went to $166,000 because he got check B just days ago. Lorraine, when she was at $105,000, now she's getting $120,000. How do you get these incredible sums of money? Step one, subscribe to this channel. Step two, go right down under this video where it says join and become a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP. And step three, get this incredible newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time via the YouTube alerts. To ensure that you sign up for those YouTube alerts, make sure you click the bell at the front of this channel and turn it to all on. The situation tonight with this economy is that there is a storm out to sea. And that storm out to sea is an economic downturn. You may call it recession, maybe you don't, maybe you're just unsure about what it is, but I need to explain to you tonight that there is certain guidance of where we going and certain uncertainty. I'm going to separate it out for you right now. In the next 90 days, unless something changes, this is what's going to happen. There's going to be no deal on gasoline. The White House has not pursued any deal on gasoline, and with no deal on gasoline, it means your gasoline prices are going to go higher. There's not going to be a reduction of inflation because Jay Powell doesn't have the tools to reduce inflation, and it's going to go higher. And unemployment is going to continue to grow as people are going to continue to lose their jobs. That's going to go higher. Let me go over the analysis of each of these points and more, starting right now. And this is why I give you the analysis months ahead of time, so that you're prepared for where we're going. First, in the next 90 days, do not expect gasoline prices to go down. Why? Because there is no inherent deal for gasoline from the White House. Do not expect inflation to go down because the Jay Powell team of the Federal Reserve will not be able to reduce inflation. I've been saying this since February. Now middle America understands Jay Powell does not have the tools to get inflation down. It's caused by supply chain disruption. And do not expect fast action from Congress on anything, because there is no inherent fast action being pursued by these people. You don't want to wait because their lack of speed and doing anything could send you into an economic tailspin. And I don't want that to happen to you at all. What is going to go lower in the next 90 days is some of these items have already started. Consumer confidence is going to drop. In fact, it dropped dramatically on Friday. Now let's understand how significant this is. This economy in June 2022 is not as bad as it's going to be in September. It's going to be a lot worse. It's not as bad as it's going to be next year. It's going to be a lot worse. But consumer confidence for middle America, for the average viewer who doesn't watch LALATE, the number 3 most watched financial news channel in America nightly, they believe we're already in recession. Tonight, their consumer confidence fell because they saw that CPI number and they heard that inflation went higher. When they heard inflation went higher on Friday, they said, I don't have confidence in this economy. That lack of confidence means that you should expect less consumer spending in the next 90 days. Less consumer spending means if you own a business, don't expect more consumers in that business to be buying for you. If you're a consumer, that means that when you go to buy products, you may not be buying them because their price point will be higher. And discretionary income may not be higher. The valuation of your income may be less. Why? Because employers are not raising salaries that much, and the price of goods are going higher. What will go higher in the next 90 days? Yes, the price of goods are going higher. They're going much higher because the situation is not improving. Supply chain disruption is not being solved by the White House. Recessionary winds are going to pick up, and mortgage rates, we know those are going to go higher. How much higher? I'm expecting the Federal Reserve to have 3 more interest rate spikes at least. And last Thursday, before the CPI read came out, I said half, quarter. So now I'm going to say half. I believe that there's no reason why the Federal Reserve wouldn't do all halves until it starts to see a change. That change will not be the drop of inflation in my prediction. That change will be people really angry at the Federal Reserve. The next 90 days, unemployment numbers will surge. I believe that the unemployment claims will go from about 200 to about 210 to about 220 in the next 90 days. Gasoline prices, I believe, will surge dramatically. I believe quickly they'll jump up to about 6. And then after that, the big question mark is how much higher. A lot of people don't think they can go much higher than 550. Here's what's strange about gasoline prices is that they went really high in March and then leveled out. And then they didn't really creep up for many, many weeks. In the last 7 days, since the Western allies banned the Russian oil, that's when it sort of ran very quickly in just a matter of a few days. And finally, there's interest rates. Those interest rates are going to go really high very quickly across the board. The White House tonight has exemplified that in those comments from Joe Biden at San Marcos Airport, that there is no inherent solution at hand lined up. And there is no inherent solution at hand, then what's going to happen? Just everything's going to be worse. Everything's going to be worse. What would I do if I was president? Item number 1, immediately fire Brian Deese. I believe he's sort of the root of the problems. Brian Deese is the chief of the Economic Council of Joe Biden. A lot of this responsibility is falling on him. Not that he's the protagonist of the channel, but a lot of the responsibilities fall upon him. He's absolutely doing nothing. Fired. Number 1. Number 2, I'd hire a task force to be brought in right away to deal with supply chain disruption. What I mean a task force, I would impanel an actual panel, an actual team of economic advisors from the private sector and the public sector to come in and be set up to deal with supply chain disruption. They need to oversee the U.S. ports, oversee the U.S. airports, oversee the tariffs and the embargoes we have, and consider whether some of them need to be relaxed because of emergency situations. They need to have time horizons. They have to have a time horizon about 30, 60, and 90. They need to know what they can give them immediate results in 30 and immediate results in 60 and 90. The White House, for this situation, what they've done, nothing. I mean, the White House back in February said the Port of Los Angeles, let's increase the hours of operations. Okay, it's a good idea. But does it work? Well, within a week or two, it didn't really work. 3 months later, hasn't done anything else. So you try something and you want to reassess within a few days or a few weeks and see if it works, and then grab onto something else. There's no contingency plans ready in this White House. And that's what I would do. And I have a task force dedicated just for this. Joe Biden can do that really quickly. Number 2, before I continue, if you fix the supply chain disruption, you as president would get that inflation to drop dramatically. Number 2, I would impanel another group of advisors just on gasoline. This is what the advisors need to do on gasoline. Number 1, they need to bring in advisory committee on human rights and say, listen, we got 5 countries to choose from, and 4 of them are on our human rights violation hit list, and the last one is on our nuclear warhead concern. How can we address the emergency situation, getting gasoline to the American people quickly, and yet not ignore the human rights issue? And if that advisory team gives you sort of guidance, then I would have another group of the team look at the 5 countries and say, okay, which of these 5 countries is the quickest and easiest to get the gasoline to the Western allies? What is this? This is really logistics distribution, which the White House has done really well with that COVID response initially when the White House came in and got the vaccines into the Walgreens and the CVS. They need to figure out of those 5 countries, Venezuela, Brazil, OPEC Plus, Saudi Arabia, example, and Iran. They need to look, okay, how much gasoline can we get from all of them? I believe all of them can provide the 3.5 million barrels a day, so that works. Number 2, is there a logistics benefit to going from one country versus another? Is another country closer to get that oil to the Western Allies? Or maybe we use 2 of the countries. Use one of the countries for that region, another country for this region. And 3, figure out how quickly you can get that deal for the Western Allies. Now, here's where it makes it very complicated, is you got to do a deal for us, but you have to understand that if Boris Johnson and England doesn't do our deal, or they don't do a deal, they're going to recession. And if England goes into recession, we go into recession. But I think the president needs to take the lead on this because the Western allies have been ridiculously slow on this situation. We need to take the lead on it, make the deal, choose the country, and then after we have our gasoline provided for in the United States and our gasoline prices will come down, Brent crude would still be relatively high for all the Western allies. Then Janet Yellen, who's very good at negotiating on an international basis, could get the Western allies to get their gasoline down as well. That is really where you got to address these situations right away. I mean, you really do. If you get the gasoline under control, if you get the supply chain under control, then you've eliminated 2 of the biggest harms of this economy right today. And the turnaround time on that has to be 30 days. If you've been watching this channel since March, I said this was a problem in March and has to be solved by May. We're going into July. So to say that I'm giving the president to July to fix the situation, it's not sustainable into May. So we're almost 60 days late on doing this type of solution. Tonight, the president has no solution. This is my guidance to what he's doing. The president needs to bring in economic advisors to set up that committee to do supply chain disruption. Get rid of Gina Raimondo, get rid of Brian Deasy. These people are doing nothing. All they do is talk, do nothing at all. And bring in economic advisors to get the supply chain disruption done right away. Number 2, bring in a council of economic advisors to get the oil situation done right away. You must buy oil from those 5 countries. There's no other choice. You must buy oil. And you must address the American people right on with, you understand that there's a human rights violation with these 5 countries, but this is an economic peril. Let's understand. When you and I and Janet Yellen and Joe Biden were watching that Putin invasion of Ukraine back in March, we also understand what we were talking about on Halloween of last year. We said if Putin invades Ukraine, then we have a big human rights violation. And also we have a big uncertainty about where our oil will come from. We got to have a solution. Tonight, we're talking the same talk. We just don't have any more walk. Tonight, we're wondering, okay, we address that human rights violation in Ukraine by embargoing the Russian oil, but then we need oil for ourselves. So I understand Venezuela is a human rights violator, but why not invite them to the Council of Economic Advisors? Why not invite them to the Americas meeting here in Los Angeles and do a deal with them from oil? No, we're going to block them. Well, where's your oil going to come from? The White House needs to move very quickly because the situation is so untangled. It's devouring any benefit that this economy had coming out of COVID. Any benefit that we may have had from the 3rd stimulus package, any benefit we may have from the 2nd stimulus package. And when you lose the consumer, you lose it all. Some analysts often say this, and I agree with them. If you lose the consumer, you lose it all. Consumer confidence from February to June has absolutely gone from wonderful to non-existent. Tonight, we're not in a recession. Tonight, we're not in the throngs of a very bad economy of September 2022. Tonight, we're just in June in a downward spiraling economy. And yet consumer confidence is gone. Gone. That means that people won't spend, they won't buy, they won't start businesses, and they won't think that anything is getting better. You lost the consumer. What else can you lose? The next concern is how quickly this pivot turn will happen. What I need to be frank to you right now in this recording is the following. I care for you greatly. I care for you deeply, but I'm not your president. I'm not on the Council of Economic Advisors. I'm not in the president's ear. And if the president doesn't move and fix gasoline, doesn't move and fix inflation, doesn't move and fix supply chain disruption, doesn't move and fix any of these things, and no one else does, then what's going to happen in 90 days from now? Yeah. So the only thing I can do as a broadcaster is help you, deliver you the predictions, deliver you the news. And that's why in the next 90 days, there is going to be a change. It won't be in the White House, but it'll be here. In the next 90 days, you're going to see a new LA like you've never seen it before. It's a true embodiment of where we've come and where we're going. You're going to see a new LA that gives you more information, more up-to-date, detailed predictions, and more stimulus coverage than you've ever seen before. It's going to be the LA you've always wanted. Because ultimately, I can't solve supply chain disruption. I can't bring gasoline prices down. I'm not your president. But what I can do is help you more than anyone else can maneuver through this economy. I can help you by telling you where we are today and where we're going to be in 3 months from now and get it right. I got it right time and time again over the last year. I can get you checks where they are and tell you how to get them. I can prepare you for what is happening, whether it's a stock, a bond, housing, auto, employment, or very simple things like home repairs or heating oil, gas. I can prepare you, but I can't actually be the person in the Oval Office who does it for you. And so ultimately, I'm here for you. And in the next 90 days, I'll be here for you a lot more than ever before. Get ready for the new LA. It's coming in less than 90 days. And it's just coming in the nick of time. It's coming just in the nick of time, Lord. Just, let's hold our hands together and pray. Because as a family, as a community, as a spirit, as a movement, and as a changing force, the next place we're going to is number 2. We're going to number 2 in the United States, and we will be there in less than 90 days. From the shores of Santa Monica, California, God bless you all. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to become a member. Don't forget to get all those incredible checks. Don't forget to go back and get another check and then get another check and get another check. Keep on getting checks. And from America's most confused economy to America's most perplexed 2023, we'll have it all. We'll have it all covered. God bless, and stay informed, stay focused, stay off LA for more.